Hello, everyone. Welcome to the theory class, lesson 5. Before we get started in our lesson, we're going to do an evaluation. All right, so go ahead and get out your machine. You want to write these on your machine. Here we go. Ready? Number 1, will, the brief will. I will go with you. Number 2, laid. I laid down my purse. Number 3, was. He was late. Number 4, rat. Kill the rat. Number 5, rose. Pick a rose. Number 6, open. Open the door. Number 7, raise. Raise your hand. Number 8, letter. Did I get a letter? Number 9, his. His number is on the table. Number 10, remember. Do you remember me? All right. So now I want you to look at your steno. Okay, not what was transcribed through your software, but your actual steno. And let's see how you did. All right. So number 1 is will, initial L. Number 2, laid, L, long A, D. Number 3, was, W-A-Z. Make sure you don't strike the S. Number 4, rat, R-A-T. Number 5, rose, R, long O-Z. Number 6, open, O-E-P. Number 7, raise, R, long A-Z. Make sure you did not strike the S. That would be race. Number 8, the brief letter, L-E-R. Number 9, his, H-I-Z. Make sure you didn't strike the S. That would be hiss. And number 10, the brief remember, R-E-B. Okay. All right, so if you had any trouble with that, I encourage you to shut this recording off and go back and practice lesson 4 again. Okay, that's your snapshot to see how much you know for lesson 4. And I would say if you missed more than 1 or 2, you definitely need to go back and redo the whole thing. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to lesson 5. All right, so again, if you have not printed out your lesson, then I want you to stop right now, print it out, and then you can come back once you've printed it out. That way you can take notes on your handouts. All right, so let's start with 5.1, word practice. Today, we're going to learn our initial B, which is written initial P-W, and our initial D, which is our initial TK. So if our hands are in home position, the way I would strike my initial B is the PW here, and my fingers are in a curled position. It's going to be right on the crack there with my middle finger of my left hand. And you need to make sure you're striking the P and the W at the same time. That is our initial B. We also have our initial D, which is going to be the TK. We're going to use our ring finger of our left hand TK. Strike that crack right between the keys to make sure you get both of those. Okay, so if you notice, there's no D, no B over here, so we have to make it up. So this is our D, this is our B. Okay, D, B. And if you want, before you even start the words, go back and just say it out loud. B, D, B, D, D, B, D, B. That way you get used to striking those keys with your fingers. All right. And make sure you keep your fingers curled. Okay, don't flatten them. You don't want to flatten, you want to curl. Okay. All right, so let's look at 5.1. Initial B and initial D words. In on line 1, we've got bet. Now, when you write that and you go back and read it, you don't want to say P-W-E-T. You want to look at the P-W as a B. So when you read it, it would just be B-E-T, all right? So separate each word with a comma so that it's easier to read. We have bet, B-E-T, base, B long A-S, bait, B long A-T, bog, like to weigh down, B-O-G, bug, B-U-G, bat, B-A-T, bowl, B long O-L, bail, B long A-L, do. Okay, now we're talking about our D here, our TK. Do, D-O. Dub, D-U-B, dub. Date, D long A-T. Del, D-E-L. Dill, like a dill pickle, D-I-L. Dad, D-A-D. Dog, D-O-G. Dead, D-A-E-D. We're doing our A-E reversal here because of the spelling rule. And then we have boat, B long O-T. Deer, D-A-E-R. Again, we've got the spelling rule, the A-E reversal. Bed, B-E-D. Doug, D-U-G. Again, if it were somebody's name, we would flag it. Doug, the name. Bar, B-A-R. Bog, B-O-G. Bad, B-A-D. Dab. Is it dab? Yeah, dab. D-A-B. Dope, D long O-P. Boss, B-O-S. Dip, D-I-P. Dot, D-O-T. Burr, that's like a rough protuberance. Burr, B-U-R. Bob, B-O-B, like Bob for apples. If it were a proper name, we would flag it. Dole, D long O-L. Dale, that's like a valley, D long A-L. Again, if it were a proper name, we would flag it. Bowl, B long O-L. Bore, that's either to drill, that means to drill a hole, or it's a dull person. Bore, you are a bore, B long O-R. Doll, D-O-L. Dig, D-I-G. Dull, D-U-L. Bell, B-E-L. Bit, B-I-T. And bag, B-A-G. So make sure you separate each word with a comma. Okay, moving over to 5.2. These are your practice sentences using your initial B and D. Okay, so let's take a look at those. We had dug a hole, period. I had dug a hole, period. He was at bat, period. I was at bat, period. Now, make sure you don't get these two confused, your B and your D, okay? It's very easy to do. So make sure you practice those before you start your sentences, okay? Date her, period. You date her, period. He has a dog, period. Make sure you use a final Z there. He has a big dog, period. Bet the race, period. We bet the race, period. Dare to bet, period. Dare to bet it, period. He was a boar, period. He was a big boar, period. The bug is bad, period. The big bug is bad, period. He was late, period. He was late to bat, period. We dug a hole, period. We dug a big hole, period. He bit it, period. It bit his leg, period. Make sure his is written with the final Z. I dare you, period. I dare you to bet, period. Okay, moving into 5.3. We've got some new briefs and phrases. So let's look at those. Our first one is what. Notice that what is W-H-A. It's not W-H-A-T. And the reason being is because we phrase what the. So what the is W-H-A-T. What is just W-H-A. Okay, so we have what is W-H-A, final S. What the, W-H-A, final T. Okay, so that is the reason why we do not write what as W-H-A-T. Okay, when is simply W-H on the initial side. When is W-H, final S. When the, W-H, final T. Which, W-I, which. Which is which. Which is W-I, final S. Where, initial W, final R. Make sure you don't do initial W-R, that would be were. So where is initial W, final R. Where is, initial W, final R, final S. Where is. Where the, initial W, final R, final T. Where the. About is our initial B, about. Okay. About the, initial B, final T. About a, initial B, A. Again, that's a phrase, so we don't turn that article A into a long A. Otherwise, it would be bay. So about A is just B-A. Did, initial D. Did the, initial D, final T. Did he, initial D, E. Did I, D, I. Did you, D-U. Did A. Again, this is a phrase, so the article A is a short A. D-A. Otherwise, it would be, if you used a long A, it would be the word day. Okay. All right, so those are your new briefs and phrases. Looking at 5.4, that's a strict brief drill. No phrases in there. Strictly briefs. You want to separate each one with a comma. Okay. All right. Looking over at 5.5, we have a writing drill. And this is going to implement some of your new phrases along with words that start with the B and the D. Initial B, initial D. Okay, so let's look at some of those. Number one, what can the boss do? Notice can the is underlined, so that means that we phrase that. Initial K, final T. What can the boss do today? Interrog. Number two, which can you do? Interrog. Which can you do today? Interrog. Now, if you're having a hard time remembering what the new briefs are, always keep your handouts so that you can see them while you're learning that lesson. There's nothing wrong with that. And even any past handouts, because you're learning this. So, but if you need to, right above what, right? WHA, or which, WI, when, WH. And that way it's a visual as well when you're going over this. Okay. Line 3, what date is set in Iraq? What date is set to sell in Iraq? Number 4, where was he in Iraq? Where was he today in Iraq? When can bail be set in Iraq? When can bail be set today in Iraq? Where was he to pay in Iraq? Where was he to pay it in Iraq? When could he dig it in Iraq? When could he dig the hole in Iraq? He did it, period. He did it today, period. Tell us about it, period. Tell us about it today, period. Which was the bag in Iraq? Which was the bag to sell in Iraq? What is a date in Iraq? So you want to phrase, what is, W-H-A, final S. What is a bill in Iraq? Did you sell the coal in Iraq? Where did you sell the bag in Iraq? When is a date in Iraq? So when is, W-H, final S. When is a race in Iraq? What did he sell in Iraq? Did he sell the coal in Iraq? Which is a doll in Iraq? So here we have which is, W-I, final S. Which is a bell in Iraq? What did I sell in Iraq? Where did I sell the bag in Iraq? And then number 17, where is a race in Iraq? Now notice, you can phrase either where is or is a. Where is, W, final R, S, or you can phrase is a. But since you're looking down at the sentences, go ahead and phrase whatever one is underlined. So in this case, it would be the where is, okay? Now, when you get into dictation, whether it be the read back sentences or you're in speed classes, you would phrase whatever one you feel you heard that was phrased together. So if I were to say, where is a race? You would phrase where is. Now, if I were to say where is a race, you would phrase is a. So you have the choice there. But when it comes to practicing and doing your homework and physically looking at it, you're going to phrase whatever's underlined, okay? So line 17, where is a race in Iraq? Where is a doll in Iraq? Where is a bat in Iraq? 18, did the company sell bait in Iraq? Did the dog dig up in Iraq? When did the company pay in Iraq? Is it about the date in Iraq? Now notice you're going to phrase is it about the, so about the. So you have two phrases in one sentence, and that saves you 2 strokes. So that's why phrasing is so important, because it's going to save you strokes. And when you get into speeds, it's all about the speed. So you want to get that down in theory so that it just becomes second nature. Okay. What about the race in Iraq? What about the dog in Iraq? Do you remember Kay in Iraq? Do you remember Ray in Iraq? Do you remember Kate in Iraq? All right. Moving over to 5.6. All right, now I want to talk to you about consonant compounds. Notice that it says consonant compounds at the top. Okay, so consonant compounds are 2 or more consonants occurring together on the same side of the keyboard, and those are called consonant compounds. These combinations need extra practice because of the increased possibilities of fingering errors. Okay, beginning with this lesson, there will be exercises provided in every lesson usually from now on, that will focus on a particular consonant compound. Okay, so in this case today, your first one will be initial SH. So the consonant compound that we're focusing on is initial SH. Okay, now the reason why it's so important that you are accurate with these is because a lot of times with consonant compounds, if you make a mistake, the word may make sense in a sentence, but it may be the wrong word. Okay, so keep that in mind. If I were to write the word shot, but I meant to write the word shut, and I just got my vowels mixed up, shot and shut may be in a sentence that makes sense, but here I've made an error. So that's why consonant compounds are so important to get down and focus on accuracy. Okay, so let's look at some of these SH words. Our first word is shore, which would be written SH, long OR. Okay, shore, SH, long OR. Then we have shell. Now, shell is going to be flagged. So you want to write a little note there. Flag shell. The reason why is because we phrase she will. She will is SHEL. So shell has to be flagged so we don't have a conflict there. Okay, so shell is going to be SHE with the flag L. Okay, that's how we write shell. Now, if you're having a hard time getting that finger on the L and the flag, what you can do is what I explained in lesson 4, what we call tapping. You're going to strike the SHEL, lift up on one side, hit this asterisk, and then lift up. But whatever side you lift up, you want to hold down the keys on the other side. So, for instance, if I have my fingers on SHEL, and I lift up from the EL to hit my asterisk, my fingers over on this side have to stay on the SH. Okay? Same with this one. If I want to strike SHEL and lift up over here, I have to keep my fingers on the EL and come over here and hit my asterisk key. So you may be able to do it in one stroke, no problem. If you have long fingers, if you have short fingers, you will have to teach yourself how to tap. That's what we call tapping. And that does take practice. So start practicing those words that you're having to tap. All right. So shell, SH, flag, EL. All right. She will comes up a lot more often than shell. So that's why we flag shell. All right. Then we have shad. That's various fish. Shad, SHAD. Shade, SH, long AD. Shill, that's one who makes a sales pitch or a promoter. Shill is going to be SHIL. She, SHE. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about pronouns. You have not received the long E yet. You will soon. But anytime we have a pronoun, whether it be he, she, whatever it may be, I, those are always going to be short vowels. So she is always going to be SHE. And once we learn the long E, we will never write she as a long E. Okay, same with the I. I will always be a short I. When we learn the long I, we're still going to keep the pronoun I as a short I. Okay, and then the I on our face would be the long I. So we're going to go into that more when we get into the long vowels. But for now, when we get into the long E, we'll go over that in long I. But just make yourself a little note. Pronouns are always going to be written with the short vowel. Okay? All right, so she, SHE. Then we have shape, SH long AP. Shot, SHOT. Ship, SHIP. Share, SH long AR. Show, SH long O. Shop, SHOP. Shut, SHUT. Shale, SH long AR. I'm sorry, L. That's a rock. SH long AL, shale. It's a type of rock. And shag, SHAG. All right. So those are your consonant compounds. So again, really focus on your accuracy when you're writing those. If you make a mistake, you want to strike your asterisk and then rewrite the word again. All right, moving into 5.7, we have writing sentences that, that pretty much go over your SH, your consonant compounds with the SH, along with some initial D and B words. So line 1, we have shut up the shop. Now notice up the is underlined. You're going to make sure you phrase that. UPT. UPT. Up the. She had to shape up, period. Pull the shade, period. Make sure you're using periods at the end of each sentence or an interrog. Share the doll, period. It is the shape, period. The shop will be shut, period. Lay the shag rug, period. She is a shill, period. The shell is at the shore, period. Don't forget to flag shell. Make a little asterisk above there if that helps you. And then at the is phrased, TE. The pit had shale, period. When was he shot? Interrog. Show us the ship, period. Show her where the boat is, period. Now we can phrase where the, initial W, final R, final T. Okay. The boat is at the shore, period. Where is a boat? Interrog. The deaf lad could cope, period. The boss is a dud, period. What is a lad to do? Interrog. The dog will dig the hole, period. Where is her big dog? Interrog. What did he say about the dog? Interrog. So there's two phrases in one sentence. Did he and about the. His lip had a bad cut, period. So we can phrase had a, H-A. Make sure you write his with the final Z, not an S. Where is her shop? Interrog. Do you remember the cut? Interrog. All right. Make sure when you are writing your sentences, you're not looking down at your fingers. You want to be looking up at your book, or I should say your handout, okay? Prop those up if you need to. You can even have your keyboard handy so you can see that too, but do not look down at your fingers. Okay, this is all, you need to learn all of your keys by the touch, the feel of it. That's why we don't have these actual letters on our keyboard. So that being said, do not paste or tape your letters on your keyboard. I've heard of that before, and that's a big no-no, big crutch. Okay. All right, so let me give you an optional step with your homework. If you would like to go above and beyond to really get this down, I suggest you highlight all of your initial B words with one color, maybe yellow, and highlight your initial D words with maybe another color, maybe pink, and your initial SH words, our new consonant compounds, with maybe green or another color. And then use another color for any errors that you may have. So print these out, print out your work and take a look at it, compare it with the book. And if you would, you want to do some highlighting, that will really help you to learn how to read the steno, okay? So I really encourage you to do that. All right, so when you are done with this lesson, meaning you've gone over it 3 times at least, and preferably 4, then you can move on to the last step, which is the read back portion of the class. All right, have a wonderful day.